Hello and welcome to the Josh and Foster podcast. This is episode 4 of the pod. We are doing the Seattle expansion draft. I am Foster and I am here with.
Josh.
All right. So we're gonna pick each team. We each have our own. We picked our teams. So Josh, if you want to go first and start with the first team that you would be Anaheim.
Yeah, for sure. So overall with this, main goal with this is we had to keep everything just like what they have to. We have to hit at least 14 forwards, 9 defensemen, 3 goalies, at least 20 contracts for next season, and it has to be under the maximum cap hit. So do keep that in mind. And at least for my list, I don't know about you, Foster. I've just done it based on players that I feel like would be good for them. But this is not going to include any like side deals or side contracts that they might get.
My team is just about selling tickets and selling jerseys. So we went high price people.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, no, in total, my total cap hit is actually just above 70 million. And
Just
yours?
above 70.
Yep.
Mine is at 80.9 million and the cap is 81.5 million.
Yeah,
So
I'm only at 70.2 million. Gives
very,
a wiggle room for free agents.
we don't care. We're good. We're good. We're locked up.
All right. Well, we shall see who has the better list then.
Right.
So starting off with the Anaheim Ducks. Personally, I picked which, by the way, I apologize if I pronounce any names wrong. I probably will throughout this. Um, Overall, though, from the Anaheim Ducks, I have taken Hayden Fleury.
Okay, I did the same. I was I was going to originally pick Sonny Malone because that's who I've known that name for a long time. I was debating it, but I needed a defenseman. And I needed to get under the cap a little bit, so I had to switch those two up.
Yeah, yeah. No, Fleury's a good, solid pick. 25 years old, still good and young. He signed for another season, which is good. Can play both sides, which could greatly help a team. And whether if they use him or good trade bait for someone else with how cheap his cap hit is, I think he would be a solid pickup for them.
True.
Next up, the Arizona Coyotes. Um, yeah, this name I'm gonna butcher straight up. I picked Ilya Labushkin.
Okay, defenseman.
Sorry.
Is he a defenseman?
Yes, he is a right-handed defenseman, 27 years old. He signed for this season for 1 million.
I did a little different here. I went with Christian Fisher. 1 million. He's an RFA next year. I've heard the name. I've seen some stuff a couple of times when my team has gone up against them.
Mm-hmm.
Good depth forward. Good
No,
guy
I
to play the third or fourth line. Maybe pump.
totally agree. Totally agree. You got to find those depth players. Overall, I've picked a lot more defensemen in my thing, which then hopefully could flip into depth defensemen or picks for them. Overall, I think Fisher is a very good pick. I was looking at his stats. He played really well a few years ago. Since then, he's kind of been dropping off every year, which is
I
why,
remember that. I think it was 2019. I think it was
yes,
2019.
somewhere around there, he got like 15 goals in a season and was like looking good as a young player, but he's kind of dropped off, which is why I went a bit more for again a cheap defenseman that could use or could flip. Next off, Boston Bruins. My pick was Connor Clifton, a 26-year-old defenseman. He signed for 1 million for the next 2 years.
And see, I was a little surprised with the Bruins. I thought I heard all the news. It was going to be DeBrusque. It's going to be DeBrusque.
Mm-hmm.
And then I look at this, and then there was no DeBrusque. And I was like, they actually kept him. And then I looked at who they gave up, and I was like, oh, I totally thought they were going to let DeBrusque go. And I thought that was going to be a bad idea. He's so young and so good.
I agree. It seems like they've definitely given up on him. I'm guessing the only reason why they have protected him is just because his trade value is probably still high for other teams. that
True.
he's worth more potentially than a Richie or someone else.
That's true. So the guy I went with, I'm going to get this name very wrong. I went with Zach Saraishian. I don't know. He is a forward. He's an RFA this year. He's worth 700K.
Okay. Yeah.
More depth, and I need to get under the cap. So my
Did he
original pick was Curtis Lazar, but I needed that at that point. I need that extra 100,000, so I had to get under the cap.
trying to go for the Buffalo legend?
Got us a Bjork. He helped get us Bjork, and that guy's a stud.
No, good pick, good pick. Next, Buffalo Sabres. Gotta love them.
Oh yeah. Here they come,
Um,
last place again.
yeah. Well, good draft pick for the next year then.
Yeah.
I picked William Borgen, 24 years old, right defenseman, just above league minimum.
I picked Will too. I've seen him a few times. He's really good. He's a smooth skater. He's amazing on the back end. He's solid. He hits hard. He's a great penalty killer. He's the kind of guy that you can have him out at the end of the game. He's not going to hurt you. And they were always talked about when he was coming up that he didn't have great offensive skill. But then when he came to the NHL for the 14 games he did play in, you could see that there was something there. So I'm assuming they're going to pick him, because if not, and they go out and they pick Jurgensen's, then Buffalo's having a party, and they messed up their first one already. So it's probably going to be Borgen. He's awesome. There was a bit of a debate between him and Ristolainen, but Buffalo wants to trade Ristolainen, and they can get more value. So,
Yep. And I feel like that's how a lot of teams have done it this year, is protect the players that hold any trade value just to ensure they get something back.
Yep, exactly.
All right. So next we've got Calgary Flames. And this might cause a bit of a debate, but I selected Shillington, 24 years old, defenseman, 787,000.
I did not go that route. I went defenseman, but I went with the future captain of the Seattle Kraken for 2021-2022 season in Mark Giordano. That guy is going to be the leader of our team. We don't have many leaders, so he's got to be the guy that steps up and shows the young defenseman how it's done, how to win a Norris, how to be a good leader in the locker room. So that's why I went with him. His cap hit is $6 million, almost just under.
Yeah, 675.
Yeah.
It is a big hit, and that's part of the reason why I didn't go for him. And with his age, he's only signed for one more season. He would bring a ton of leadership into the locker room, which is needed, and probably one area where my team lacks in a bit. But again, with the extra space in UFAs, you could also try to go after some of them to bring in some leadership, or potentially with trades get people. Overall, though, I feel like it's a very solid pick, bringing in the leadership into the locker room. And yeah,
gotta sell tickets, man. Gotta sell tickets.
All right, next we got Carolina Hurricanes. For myself, I swear I've only been picking defensemen so far, but continuing on the trend, I did Jake Bean, 23 years old, signed for 863,000.
I almost did him. I was really thinking about it, but I ended up going with I went with the guy that's also up this year, a little cheaper, in Spencer Smallman, I think is how you would say that. He's 735,000 for this. He's an RFA. And a depth, maybe a third, maybe he's got a little spark in him. Maybe they can unlock something with my better guys that are coming up. So far, we haven't gotten to my big ticket guys yet, but we're getting close.
And I don't have any big ticket guys.
You don't.
No. No, that sounds like a solid pickup. Younger guy as well. Next, Chicago Blackhawks. Again, I don't know how I planned this out, but another defenseman. I did Zadorov, 26 years old.
He's
He
good.
was signed for $3.2 million this past year.
I remember him in London. He's awesome. He was like one of my favorite players. I picked Josh Dickinson. I believe that's the guy. They just got him in trade with Dallas. If I am correct, that's the right guy I'm thinking of. Name looked familiar, and I remember seeing him going to Chicago. And I remember him seeing a couple years ago hitting some big getting some big goals when Dallas went to that like run with St. Louis when St. Louis ended up winning the cup. I kind of remember him being a rookie that year, same guy, and I remember him being kind of a big deal coming into the NHL and not really panning out. So I picked him.
Good. Next, Colorado Avalanche. I think this is my very first forward, but starting it off not too bad. Again, gonna butcher this name. Donoski.
Donskoy.
Yep. Yeah, I knew I was gonna pronounce it wrong. 29 years old.
Oh.
Another younger guy, right wing, next 2 years.
I also picked my man Donskoy. That guy scores goals in the playoffs. He's gonna be one of my crazy Europeans that we're gonna have out there flying around the ice. I believe he's a Russian, and we are going to be awesome.
Oh, he definitely brings some good depth, and definitely potentially could be
Great power play, dude.
first or second line.
Power play, great power play, dude. Rips it up. I remember a couple years ago he ripped it up, and for Colorado in the playoffs and on the penalty kick on the power play, just whacking it. I went for goals right there.
Next off, we got Columbus Blue Jackets. For myself, feel like I had to pick him a little bit. Picked Max Domi, 26, center, 5.3 million, signed for this upcoming season.
I also picked Domi. He's going to be an A. Once Giordano leaves, he's going to get to see if Giordano does end up moving on. I love myself some Max Domi. That guy plays the game hard. He plays the game right. He scores some big goals. I do not put this year on him because that's called torts, and every guy that played for torts this year seemed to suck. So let's go Max Domi.
Laine did really good.
Pardon?
Laine did really good.
Yeah, well, Laine got benched a few times, and so did Domi, and it was just
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully they turn that team around a little bit.
Not with Seth Jones being out.
Next, we've got Dallas Stars. For myself, I picked Tanner Kiro, 28, a center, signed just above league minimum, and he's signed for the next 2 seasons. For him, he was a really good depth player overall. I feel like he would work out perfectly for a fourth line potentially. For this season, he played 39 games and he got 10 points. His plus minus was also a 0. So overall, could have been worse.
Could have been worse. Could have been negative.
Also only got 3 penalties. He only had 6 penalty minutes in 39 games.
That's pretty good.
So pretty clean player, especially for the fourth line. I don't think you can go wrong with that.
Nice. I went with Adam Maskeren. This guy's not played much. I remember him from watching him play with Kitchener Rangers. He was an electric factory. That guy was their best player, 30 to 40 goal scorer almost every year he played there. I do have someone else that will connect with him later, and he's going to be on my second to third. Hopefully by the next season or so, he'll be on my second line. But this year I'm thinking third, so he's not going up against the big people. Put him on the power play. You let him run stuff. He's going to be an electric factory, getting the building going, getting the boys going. He's going to be scoring some big goals. He's got tons of skill. He's got tons of upside. He just needs the opportunity in the right place, and that guy can go. Not going to need much defense. Basically, a younger Phil Kessel. What he is. He's kind of shorter, a little bit bigger, better in shape than Kessel, but he's just Kessel Jr. That's the nickname I gave him when he was in Kitchener. He can rip the puck, but if the puck goes by him down the ice, he's like, not going to go much farther to go get that. He's like, someone will get it back.
Perfect. Then we move on to Detroit Red Wings. For myself, I had to go for Troy Stetcher, 27, right defenseman, signed 1.7 million for this year.
I went with Stetcher as well. I thought that was
Nice and easy pick.
nice.
Yeah, since there's not, I mean, overall, Detroit doesn't have too much available.
I thought of Vlad. I thought of Vlad Mestikov because I've
Yeah,
seen him in London. He's bounced around so much though, so I was like, and he's a little more than Stetcher, and I thought Stetcher's going to give you more value for the price tag, so that's why I went with Stetcher.
yeah, no, totally agree. Moving then on to Edmonton Oilers. I picked Dominic Cahoon, 26, left wing, 975. But you'll have
A lot
to
of speed. He's got a lot of speed and a lot of upside. I saw him when he was in Buffalo. I went a little different. This is going to be my cornerstone defenseman. This is my guy that's going to be playing with Hayden Floyd for the next few years. I went with Oscar Klefbom. That guy, I don't know what Edmonton's doing. I've been hearing about Klefbom for years. This guy's going to be a stud. He's got a big shot from the point. He's a big, smooth skating defenseman. Here we go with the Klefbom. This is awesome. I can't believe Edmonton's gonna let him go. He's a UFA in 2023. He's got a 4.167 cap hit. This is gonna be awesome getting Klefbom. I can't believe Edmonton's letting him go.
Is he worth the 4.1 though?
He is. He was hurt this year, but when he's available, when they signed that contract, their idea was it was going to be Klefbom and Nurse was going to be their dynamic duo for the next 10 years. And then they go out and get old, slow Duncan Keith that hasn't played hockey and has relevant hockey since 2015. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a bad move. I think if he goes to Seattle, they're going to have a stud, and Edmonton's going to have to watch what he's burying that stooge Connor McDavid in the corner.
Next, we got Florida Panthers. For myself, especially with all the news, definitely had to go for where everything's suggesting, which is Dreiger, 27, goalie. Signed for 850,000 this past year, but it looks like 3.5 million for the next 3 years is what everyone's talking about.
I did not go with Dreiger. I would not have enough money. I went with another goalie, Samuel Montembeault. I don't know. He's an RFA. His contract is up this year. An RFA, $700K. I needed another goalie, and I needed someone cheap.
Okay.
And I was debating on Dreiger, but when I picked this, he was still a UFA. And even if I did pick him now, I wouldn't have the cap to hold him.
Oh, so close.
Oh, the cap was nowhere near 4 million or something off.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So Los Angeles Kings then. I went for Andreas Anthonisiou. Anthonisiou. There you go. Always terrible with names. 26 center, 1.2 million, but you're gonna have to re-sign him.
He's got a lot of speed. He's a speed machine. If you get him right, he can straight line. He'll get you 20-something goals, but he hasn't been good in a few years. He's bounced around a few teams. I went with a young guy. Josh, you'll know this name a little bit. I went with Carl Grundstrom. He was a Leafs prospect. He was supposed to be this guy that was this tough nose, hard nosed player, could get you 20 goals. He would run you into the boards and get up and just keep going, talk trash to you. He was supposed to be this Leafs like perfect guy, and then they get Jake Muzzin for him. So I picked him because I want some sandpaper and I want some faces getting washed.
It's definitely another good option there. You got good options, honestly, for a lot of young forwards on Los Angeles for this.
I do. I was debating Brendan Lemieux, but his cap hit was 1.5, and I didn't think he was worth 1.5 with all like the hassle that kind of comes with him and the drama. So I didn't really want to stay with him.
Well, and smart for Grundstrom is he is signed for this season.
Yeah.
So you are locked in, and that even is under league minimum now,
Yeah.
so you're already saving money on. Next, then Minnesota Wild went with another young goaltender, Capo Kakinen.
Oh, nice.
24 years old. He does look very promising overall. And I believe he is waiver exempt. So they should be able to put him right down on their AHL team. And they don't need to worry about anyone claiming him on waivers.
Right, good. I picked Dmitry Sokolov, my first OV. I love a good OV. Those guys are the best. There's always something a little wrong upstairs, always a little crazy, always the best. Always gotta have a few OVs on your team. Thought he was cheap, and he's not afraid this year, but always gotta get some OVs. You always gotta get some crazy Russians. Russians are the best.
There you go. You heard it here first. Next, Montreal Canadiens. See, and this is kind of one thing where, looking, especially with Dreiger, might have changed it if Dreiger kind of wasn't locked in right now for one of the goalie positions. I feel like I definitely would have taken Carey Price. I definitely would have had the cap space for it, and I initially did, but because of the news of Dreiger looking like he's resigning, I did not select Carey Price, and instead I picked Jonathan Drouin, 26 left wing, 5.5 million, locked in for the next 2 years.
Nice. Now, as I said at the beginning, my Seattle Krakens, we're selling tickets and we're selling jerseys. This whole he needs knee surgery, his hips are bad, it doesn't exist. It's all a bluff. Carey's coming home.
I believe it.
Carey's coming home. He's going to sell tickets. The BC fans are going to come down. His family's going to come down. He wants to go back home. Carey's coming home. Carey's going to be a Kraken, and he's going to be the face of the franchise. $10.5 million until 2026. Face of the franchise. And we've got a good backup, too, coming up. So if he only plays 50% of the games and gets us into the playoffs, and then we get Carey in the playoffs, Hot Carey's going to take us to that cup final. This time, we're going to win because we've got some studs up front. They're going to help us go.
Are you worried about his contract towards the end of it?
I'm not. We're not worrying about that.
All right. Fair enough.
We're going to sell tickets this year. And we're going to, those tickets are going to help us in the future with money because everyone's going to be buying Price jerseys. Everyone's going to be buying tickets to see him. His face is going to be up all throughout the city. We're going to be good. And if it is bad, we'll just buy him out.
That's going to be a lot of
money. Retire. Or put him on IR on Robot Island.
I could see more him going on IR in the future in a couple of years if something else.
Or we're going to do what Tampa did, put him on IR the whole year, and then playoff starts. Oh, look, Carey's back. That knee injury was healed. We got this plan. Don't worry.
Good and rested.
Good and rested. Just like Kucherov.
All right, now with Nashville Predators, I decided to go for Cal John Kroc. I don't know how to say his name either. Feel bad. 29 left wing, $2 million signed next year.
This is my number one center. He's going to be my number one center until 2025. Ryan Johansson is going to be my number one. He's going to go off. He's the number one right now in Smashville, and he's going to be the number one for the Krakens.
See, here in my mind, I was thinking Cal was the better pick overall because for a $2 million in 49 games played this season, you got 28 points, 13 goals, 15 assists. He was a plus 13 on Nashville this season, and he only got 14 penalty minutes. Overall, I see where you're going for having a solid center that's locked in, but I feel like I just couldn't pass up on the cheaper contract for a player that's
selling tickets and selling jerseys. Got to get banners in this, and that's gonna be a guy we can sell some jerseys off of.
Oh, you'll probably definitely be able to.
All I'm thinking.
Didn't pick Duchesne.
Oh no, I don't want that cancer in the locker room. Everywhere that guy goes, the team goes bad, and every time he leaves, the team gets better. Ottawa's still suffering over the whole car ride in the Uber.
Fair.
Not touching that guy.
Next, New Jersey Devils. I picked Andreas Janssen, 26 left wing, 3.4 million, signed for the next 2 years.
And I picked Toronto Maple Leafs legend, everyone's favorite, Andreas Janssen. I know every Leafs fan, when he was traded, was crying, and they needed him. They needed him this year in the playoffs. They could have used that depth scorer, 20 goals, sandpaper kind of guy, penalty killer kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
Better than Kerfoot, would have done better. I'm going with Janssen, Andreas Janssen. He's going to be my second to third line winger, my penalty killer, my goal scorer. That guy's awesome. I love him.
Yeah, don't doubt it. We agree with him on the pick for this. I feel like he's definitely the best available player.
I thought about Butcher, but his cap hit was like it was a little high for me.
Yeah, no, Butcher is good. I know some people were saying Subban, but I just think 9 million
for those hips
yeah.
that don't move.
Yeah,
as Shakira said, hips don't lie. So
yeah, I just can't. New York Islanders then. This one was surprising with a few of their players that they left open. I ended up picking Josh Bailey, 31 right wing, 5 million until 2024. I think just between Eberle and Bailey was looking better for point wise for this past season, kind of point per game. $500,000 cheaper too, so it gives your team a little bit more wiggle room. And again, he was assistant captain is assistant captain on the Islanders, so he definitely could bring some leadership into the locker room.
I originally had Bailey, but I needed a defenseman, so I had to switch it. But yeah, I think if you honestly look at Bailey's playoff points, that guy went off in the playoffs for them. He was really good. I remember seeing highlights of Josh Bailey doing his thing. I went with a young defenseman. I went when in 2022 his contract is up. I went with Thomas Hickey. We're gonna have a good second pairing defenseman. He can either go with Klefbom or he can go with Fleury. Depends where we put our guys. But I need a defenseman, and he's at 2.5 million. Solid.
Fair. Moving on, we then have New York Rangers. For myself, I decided to go again for a very solid fourth line player. I went for Colin Blackwell. He's 28 years old, center, 725,000. Again, should be great on fourth line in general. He's only signed for this coming season. The next season coming up, but this current season, in 47 games, 12 goals, 10 assists, 22 points in total. He was a +2, which not bad on a young Rangers team. Only 15 penalty minutes too, so not a lot.
Thanks. That's the name I've been seeing a lot coming up for him going. I went with Julien Gauthier. I think that's how you say it. He's a young forward. He's bounced around a little bit. He was in Carolina. He had all this hype coming in. He was a first-round pick. He was supposed to be this big-time goal scorer. Didn't really work out in Carolina. Hasn't really worked out in New York. But if you get him right, that guy's going to be a 20, 30 goal scorer in the future. He's 863,000. He's an RFA. Comes up next year. It looked all good to me. I remember the name from him tearing it up on Team Canada in the World Juniors.
Yeah, can't go wrong with a young guy that could develop into more, especially just change of scenery. Yeah. Might motivate them a bit more. Moving on, Ottawa Senators. I decided some decent options from Ottawa, actually. I decided to go for Chris Tierney, 27 center, $3.5 million, signed for this upcoming season.
Very good pick, value pick, good third line depth, awesome center, penalty killer, end of the game kind of guy. He's awesome. I went a little different.
Mm-hmm.
My Seattle Kraken, as I said, we're selling tickets and we're scoring goals, and we're looking good when we're scoring goals. We're having fun. There's no defense happening on our team. I don't care if our wingers don't go past the red line. We're going. I love myself some Dadnoff. That guy is an electric factory. He's going to go up there and he's going to score some goals with Donskoy. Him and Donskoy are going to go firing up the ice, and we're going to score some goals, and it's going to be an electric factory, and it's going to be a power play that's going to be rocking and rolling. And when that thing starts, building's going to be rocking with these crazy Russians going off. We saw what he did in that 5-0 lead that Toronto had over Ottawa, and we saw how he finished that thing. And we saw how he did in the, I think it was the bubble with the Panthers in the playoffs before. He's a playoff guy. I love myself some Dadnoff.
Some good depth.
Dude, he's playing second line and he's going. No defense.
Well, that's how you want to do it. Definitely will leave a price hanging a little bit, but I mean, he was able to handle it in the playoffs, so I'm sure he'll be able to
We
do
got
it.
Giordano back there.
There you go. There you go. All right, moving on. Philadelphia Flyers. Again, not gonna be able to pronounce this last name whatsoever. Picked a defenseman, Shane Goshfire. You may know more than.
Goss Despair.
There you go. Yeah.
Ghost. His nickname is the Ghost.
There we go. I'll call him by that then. Terrible at pronouncing names. 28 years old, left defense, $4.5 million, signed for the next 2 seasons. Definitely think that he's just overall a solid pick. Voracek, Van Riemsdyk, the 2 guys, you definitely could go for them. Just think they're getting a little bit older, maybe a little bit too much money for what they're worth right now. Just feel like kind of player value wise, just kind of what they can do for the team. Defenseman was the better option.
Nice. I went a little different. I went with Connor Bunnavan. I saw that guy in Kitchener. He was a Ranger. He was a captain. He's a really good center. He's a two-way guy. He's $736,666. He's an RFA this year. He is the guy that's going to be playing with Adam Maskeren. The 2 of them in Kitchener were a dynamic duo. They played almost their whole time together in Kitchener. They spent 4 years in Kitchener together. They know each other well. They know where they're going to be. It's going to be awesome to have the 2 of them ride, and maybe we'll have one of the crazy Russians going with them, going up the ice. This is going to be awesome. Connor Bunnavan's a good guy, and he's going to be a future captain.
Future captain of the Kraken?
Yeah.
There you go. Got to get in line. Giordano, then Domi.
We'll see. We'll see with Domi. See how long he sticks around.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. Next, Pittsburgh Penguins. Decided to go for another defenseman, Marcus Pettersson.
I did the same.
25, just locked in a little over $4 million, but signed until 2025. I don't think you can go wrong with him for his price point. I think overall he's looking like he'll turn into a really good defenseman. I kind of, again, Tanev, Zucker. They're both 29, but they're locked in for a lot more years. So, yeah.
I agree.
Perfect. Nice and easy. Next, we got San Jose Sharks. I decided to go for Ryan Donato, 25, left wing, 1.9 million. You picked him as well?
I did the same guy.
Perfect.
This is where we might differ a little bit. I know we've talked prior.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe a couple of days we've talked about who we thought had more value.
Maybe. All right. So St. Louis Blues. I decided to go with Vince Dunn. 24, defenseman. He was signed for 1.875. You're going to have to re-sign him this year, but I feel like he will hold a lot more value than Tarasenko. I think overall, kind of just contract-wise too. Tarasenko could be good again. I feel like they will sign or draft him and then flip him to another team. But I feel like Vince Dunn should be the person that they go after.
And this is where we differ. As I keep saying, we're selling tickets and selling jerseys. And for $7.5 million for 2023, and as I said, crazy Russians, we're going with Vlad. We're going with Tarasenko. We're going to score some goals. We're going to get some highlight reels. We're going to get people hyped for the Kraken. He's going to go off, and it's going to be an absolute blast of a time with Tarasenko, Dadonov, Donskoy. Even though none of them play defense, we may put them on a line every once in a while just to see what happens. Be a good power play line.
It'll be interesting.
What a top line though, with Johansson and Tarasenko and Dadonov. What a group.
Yep.
Not a lot of defense.
Nope.
Minus the defense, double the offense.
Yep. No, I don't know. I just feel like he won't play for Seattle this upcoming season. They may or they may not draft him, but I just don't see him playing in Seattle. And the only reason why I did pick Dunn, I definitely had the cap space to go for Tarasenko. But with Dunn, I feel like could definitely be the future, a future good defenseman for them. But also, I just feel like Tarasenko's trade value is not that good. He's been asking for a trade for a few months now. Nothing's happened. Could be because teams didn't want to have to protect him. But at the same time, then why didn't St. Louis go and protect him? I just feel like his trade value is not that high when Vince Dunn might help your team out a bit more moving forward.
I was concerned about his shoulder because I know he's had shoulder issues and that's what's caused him in St. Louis. My concern is Dunn had issues with St. Louis a couple years ago when they went to the Cup. I remember that year there were some contract dispute issues, and if there was already contract dispute issues then with Dunn, I could see him having more again. Thinking that, hey, I'm look at me. I like once Dunn came back, I remember when Dunn came back for St. Louis kind of took off when they went on their magical run. So I think Dunn could sell himself, and I think Dunn's gonna ask for a bunch of money, and then St. Louis is gonna be St. Louis is gonna be have their hands tied with him this year if they keep him, and if Seattle takes him, they're gonna have their hands tied because he's gonna ask for I think he's going to ask for top of the line right shot minutes. He's going to be like, I want to be the best defenseman and I want to be paid like the best.
I don't feel like that's a bad idea though overall. I feel like he definitely could be that top line defenseman. I feel like he could turn into a very good defenseman in the league. Could very well turn into the best defenseman for the Kraken. I just feel like with the contract negotiations and stuff like that, I feel like you'd have to do a 1 to 2 year contract, sign him for fair value for what you think, for what he's produced so far, not what he thinks he will produce. And then if he proves himself, give him the time on ice, give him top line minutes.
But that's what St. Louis did last time. That's what St. Louis did last time with him. They gave him a bridge deal and then.
But new team, you gotta see how he works with the new team. So a couple years I don't feel like is bad to try for him, but this one will definitely be interesting the day of that they pick. Moving on though, Tampa Bay Lightning. I decided to go for their first line. For some reason, guess they didn't want to protect him, but I went for Alex Killorn, 31, left wing, 4.45. Were some good forward options available for them, but he was playing their first line. He was playing with Point and Kucherov. Keep up with them. You know, he did really good for that. He also is the cheapest one out of the 4 of them that are really expensive, but
he won't hurt you on the back end. Good penalty killer too. Good leader. He could be your captain. Good guy. 2-time Cup winner. Did get hurt at the end of the Cup, so who knows what that injury looks like. But it's a good pick. I went a little different. I went with Kyle Foote. He's a young defenseman. He's kind of my Dunn. He was the guy I thought. I remember seeing him with Team Canada. I remember hearing a lot about him. So I went with him. He's cheap at just under $1 million. So I think he just didn't have the space in Tampa. And I think once he spreads his wings and flies and his tentacles with the Kraken, he's going to be a big defenseman. Our defense is going to be an electric factory with our electric factory forwards.
Yep. No, I feel like there's definitely options with Tampa.
There were so many options with Tampa. I spent like the most time staring at Tampa. Like other
Yeah.
teams I spent time at because I was like, who do I not like? I don't know any of these names. But with Tampa, I was like, I know this name, I know this name, I know this name. Like I thought of Colmar, I thought of Gord. Yanni Gord was a big thought for me because I think that guy's awesome. He's just over 5 million.
Yep.
Platt was like an option for me too. Um, I thought of Patty, but he was a free agent next year. But I was debating on Patty Maroon because that guy's awesome.
Oh, you
And
could pull him and then 4 years in a row, right?
yeah, and then I thought value is he worth it now? I thought of Taylor Radish because I know he's got some high upside in goal scoring. And what's the other one I thought of? Mitchell Stevenson, that guy's got some value as a young forward, and Matthew Joseph. I remember when that guy he was on Team Canada, and I remember when he was in the queue, and I remember hearing like this guy's going to be like the next thing, and I remember he did well in the playoffs. So there's so many options there. It was just which one did I need? I was at a point of need, so I had to. I was like, it was tough, and I wanted to get Foot because I thought there was so much value there because
Yep.
he just didn't get a shot in Tampa because of all their great defensemen.
Yep. No, I can see that. I definitely feel like there could be an option for Tampa to try to do a side deal with them.
Mm,
They need a clear cap space.
they do.
Out of the four big forwards that they have open, honestly they have to get rid of probably at least two of them just to be able to have enough cap to be under and to be able to re-sign the rest of their players. I definitely feel like they might go for either Platt or Gord just for the higher cap, and then they might throw in Calfoot or someone else just to give them a little bit extra, maybe a later draft pick just to help them because Tampa's really in a tough situation right now
Yeah.
and they're going to have to make a lot of tough decisions.
All right. On to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh, mine.
They're making
um,
your dreams come true.
yeah, I tried to keep it realistic as much as I could with being a Toronto fan. I feel like overall, kind of the big three names that are going to come out are Kerfoot, McCann, and Dermott. Um, Kerfoot and McCann were both, from what has leaked or come out or whatever. Apparently, Seattle was wanting both Kerfoot and McCann. Now Toronto has both, so obviously they can't do that. I personally feel like I think McCann's a bit better of a player, and he's a little bit cheaper than Kerfoot. Kerfoot did play really good in the playoffs, though, so that's a benefit to him. Um, and he does play more of a center role. McCann can. But at the end of the day, I did say to pick Jared McCann. So 25 left wing, just under 3 million.
I did the
And
same. He's
he
got a
will
lot
be,
of upside. I remember him when he was coming out of Vancouver, the talk, and then the trades, and then everything. And I just, I don't know. I think he'd be a good pick. So I
yeah.
went with
This is
him.
another one, though, where there could be
There,
a side deal.
I could see that because I remember when the season began, the whole talk with Dermott was the guy, and then kind of halfway through it became Kerfoot. And I kind of think Toronto likes Kerfoot. I think they do because Kerfoot had a good playoffs, like
I think,
for
yeah,
like for that stretch of game 3 and 4, like after Tavares went down and all that, and Kerfoot kind of took over, and Kerfoot and Willie and what's his name, Galchenyuk, when the three of them kind of took over that series for like 3 games, that was really good. Kerfoot played really well, but Kerfoot's magic kind of disappeared, and the Leafs kind of disappeared. So I think the Leafs see a lot of value in Kerfoot. It just depends on because Kerfoot's a good player. Like he's a hard nosed, lunch pail kind of guy. He gives it 150% every single game.
yep,
Just
no, I don't doubt that at all. Um, Switching it a bit, Kerfoot, I feel like Toronto does like him, but at the same time, he's not completely needed. Um,
and
Very
how does
good
it compare to the
player.
guy that he came for? Like he came
Yes.
for Naz,
Yeah.
and
Very good.
losing Naz looks bad now. It looks tough on Toronto that they don't have Naz now.
Yes. No, for
Kerfoot will
sure.
always be compared to Naz because Naz was so beloved. And
Well, but you even just take a look. He's getting 3.5 million, and he's
has he even clipped the
not
20 goal
top
mark?
six in Toronto. I feel like if you could try to talk Seattle into picking Kerfoot, you keep McCann, that's 500,000 cheaper. It gives you that little bit of extra cap space that could go a long way into getting another depth.
Or bring over your crazy Russian prospect, the guy you guys picked in the first round.
Yep.
Always got to have some crazy Russians.
Yeah, no, definitely options there though. We'll have to see. Again, should be an interesting one to watch. Next, we got the Vancouver Canucks. I decided to go for a veteran goalie here. I decided to go for Braden Holtby. Signed 31, signed 4.3 million for next season.
I went with Madison Bowie. Bowie, I think it is. Yeah. He's always been talked about having so much potential. He's never reached it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see if he reaches it. I would like to give him a shot. It's kind of what I'm doing in my defense. It's like a lot of guys that have like had all this potential
Mm-hmm.
and like giving them some extra around. But yeah.
Yeah, no, solid pick. I just felt like they need to have two goalies for now, and it looks like Dreiger's going to be one. Up in the air on if it's price, if they're going to go for a big name to sell jerseys,
You
or
gotta sell jerseys and you gotta sell tickets.
but then you got Holtby too, another.
Yeah, I would
Solid
hope he's
name.
not the ticket price that my
Yeah,
good buddy Carey is.
that's fair. That's fair.
Because like if it was like Minnesota or like Winnipeg, because that's kind of where Hopi's from. He's from like Saskatchewan. That's
Mm-hmm.
kind of where South Texas, you get his family, get his friends, you get people coming down. But like in Seattle, Carey's from the BC area. I forget where he's from in BC, but you'll get more of his family and his friends
Mm-hmm.
and people from his because he is a part of a tribe, the Native
And I
Indian.
believe his wife is from around Seattle too, if not from Seattle,
Yeah, I think they're
somewhere
like,
around the
is
area.
she Canadian or is she American?
I'm not too sure. I know
Because
she's like
Seattle is so
West
close
Coast.
to the border.
Yeah.
It's like Buffalo. It's a
Yep.
little farther than it's like I believe it's like 45 minutes from like Vancouver or something. It's really close.
Mm-hmm.
The
Next, we
Washington Capitals.
Washington Capitals. I decided to go for another goalie. Um, I decided to go for Vitek Vanacek, another young goalie. 716,000 signed for next year. He shows a lot of potential.
I picked him. I saw him as a Sabres fan this year because I saw him a lot. He seemed like he played against Sabres a lot. He, they said like he played most of the season. He had like his most problems against Buffalo. Buffalo kept like scoring on him like a ton, and they couldn't figure out like his first game. He was awesome, and then like after that, even when Buffalo started sucking, they would still score on him, and people didn't know. But like when they had all the issues with the COVID stuff, and their goalie went down, and like Lundqvist had this heart issue, and Anderson stunk. They had to put Vanacek in, and he was rock solid all year. And then he got hurt in the playoffs, and everything happened in the playoffs. But Vita Vanacek is going to be a good goalie, and I know from what I've heard in Washington, they had him and their other young Russian goalie because he's also Russian in the AHL playing together, and he was an all-star in the AHL, and they were like playing like Vanacek's gonna be the number two, the other guy's gonna be the number one. They're gonna like sub in for each other, but it's gonna be like a 1A 1B. So the other guy plays 55% of the games, and Vanacek plays 54 of the games. So Washington has big plans for him. They just had to push him forward this year because of Lundqvist's heart issue and all
Mm-hmm.
that. But I think if Seattle can get him, he would be a great kind of guy to go with, as I had Price and as you had Hopi to go, and then in a couple of years, kind of pass the torch to him because he could be a stud.
Yep. Yep. No, totally agree. Definitely some decent other options around. Um, a lot of older players though overall.
I thought of Hagelin. That guy's got so much speed. He's a
Mhm.
great penalty killer. He's a
And
great
he's
guy.
not
Like
He's not signed for a stupid amount
He's not
either.
signed for a stupid amount, and if you need a momentum shift, he can give it to you. Like he can poke a puck and boom, he's gone to breakaway.
Mm-hmm.
I did also think about Ovi, but like he's a free agent, and I'm assuming even if you do pick him, he's just gonna laugh at you and go back to Washington.
Yep.
So, and then I thought of uh, Carter Hathaway. Thought about him. He was good. Good depth guy.
Thought of
I thought
Brendan Dillon as well.
Brendan Dillon. I thought of Connor Sheary because he's so cheap and you have him for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good options. Good options all around.
Nick Jensen was a good one. There's a lot of
The
options there. I thought of
the other
Zachary Ficali because if he ever hit that ceiling and he's so cheap, he's
Yep.
supposed to be a number one, but he never panned out.
The other option that Seattle needs to watch out for, though, is unlike Minnesota's young goalie, Vanacek is not. You just can't throw him down into the AHL. He's got to pass through waivers.
Mm.
So, a little bit risky with there because someone could easily pick him up and use him
if they pick him, I think he would be the number two. Just to stay at number two because he's got his feet wet the NHL last year. I think he got enough games in last year that they could say, okay, there's a sample size. We know what he is. Let's give him some more. He's had the development in the AHL. It's time to now finish the development in the NHL and get it all done.
Yep.
All right, our last team.
Last and final team, Winnipeg Jets. I decided to go for Mason Appleton, 25 years old, right wing, 900,000 signed for this year. Don't think you can go wrong with that.
Hard-nosed guy, plays hard. I remember seeing him against the Leafs a couple times. Looked like he really annoyed the Leafs.
Feel like he's one of the only, I would say, two options. I know some people are saying Dylan DeMello is another good choice.
It was for me with Dylan DeMello. It's a $3 million. It was a $3 million for me because I don't think he's worth $3 million.
Yeah.
So for me, it was.
You take a look. Winnipeg really struggled with their defensive core. At the trade deadline, they really needed to get a solid defenseman. They got Jordy Ben. He was all right for them, but I feel like they just needed a bit more. Dylan DeMello was probably one of their best defensemen, but
and that's not good if Dylan DeMello is one of your best defensemen.
Yeah. So, but Mason Appleton looks like he's got a good future.
Yeah.
Still decently young.
Hard nose, puts his head down, runs into a wall. All right.
That is everything.
That is everything. We are done. Give a big round of applause. I think my Seattle Kraken would beat Josh's.
You definitely have more bigger names, but you know, you got to leave it open for free agents, and that was the one thing.
I do not. I will not have any sort of free agent wiggle room at all.
But that was my main goal: is you sign a lot of younger, cheaper players that you can flip for assets, either draft picks or players that would pass waivers, or getting better forwards. But overall, then you've got that extra cap space. You know, Dougie Hamilton's going to shop around. If you want to try to go after him, he's going to cost you. But at least with my way, you've got a little bit of extra space. Landeskog, don't know what's happening with him. He's talking about he wants 9 to 10 million. I don't doubt that he's not worth it. If you want a big name player with leadership, I feel like he would be a great option to go for, but they need to manage their cap space well.
I agree. I think he's going back home. I think he's going back. I know how much he loves Colorado. Mm-hmm. I heard him on the Spin Chicklets podcast talking about how much he loves it there. And I know he's good buddies with Rantanen and McKinnon. So I can't see him leaving. Mm-hmm. I heard he would take a little bit of a pay cut to come home. Mm-hmm. And I know he said he wanted to have something that was close to Swedish weather. So he didn't want anything too hot. Because I know he was talking about that when he was drafted. He didn't want to go to Edmonton because it was way too cold. He didn't want to go to Florida because it was way too hot. And he would hate that. And he said Colorado was perfect. It was hot in the summer. And it was nice and cold. More of a Swedish weather with the mountains. Like they have a lot of mountains and stuff over in Sweden. And I've heard that Seattle is the most depressing place to live because of the rain. And like it rains all year. and I think he just wants to stay home.
Well, at least they won't know when you're crying in Seattle.
I guess they won't because it's raining. But also, I had an idea. What would your would you have a big explosion like Vegas would at the beginning of the game to get the hype up for your first game, or would you just have like, yeah, we're the Seattle Kraken, here we go?
No, you got to do big explosion.
I would have a Marshawn Lynch beast mode,
There you
the
go.
former Seattle Seahawks running back. He's loved in that city. I'd have him banging some sort of drum.
Did you hear that? He's actually gonna help announce the roster and the expansion.
Is he? Oh, I wasn't sure if I was gonna watch that, but if my man Marshawn's gonna be there, I'm gonna be there.
No, yeah, there's I believe 5 athletes that are picked. I can see if I can try.
Marshawn would be awesome. You know how like a couple of those teams have like where the guys get out of the tunnels and like the Predators have the big saber-tooth tiger and the Golden Knights have the big helmet. I would have like a big Kraken, like with tentacles, and like how the Red Wings have the octopus from the ceiling. I'd have like a big tentacled like Kraken coming off the ceiling. We'd go all out. It'd be so horrible.
All right, got the list. So the NHL apparently announced today, as we're recording this, that Marshawn Lynch, Bobby Wagner, Sue Bird, Gary Payton, and Sean Kemp will help unveil
2 basketball players, 2 football players. Oh, that's going to be awesome. Marshawn, beast mode. They love him. He's loved in Seattle. He's a god there because of the beast quake.
Either way,
handed the ball off to Marshawn in the Super Bowl.
It'll be exciting.
It will be. Well, we will come back after and see how we did. We'll look back on which one was more right. Maybe we'll see some post because that's coming out on Wednesday. The NHL draft is on Friday. Maybe next week you'll see something come out about how Seattle, how the draft went, what happened. Big things are going to happen if you're seeing this. And Eichel has gotten traded because I've heard that is being like once the Seattle draft is kind of done.
There'll be a lot of trades in between.
Like on Thursday, things are going to go bananas.
Yeah, a lot of side deals are going to go through. You're going to have a lot of trades of players.
I think you're going to see Seth Jones on the move. Eichel, Reinhart, Ristolainen, anybody in Buffalo that has.
Colorado might resign Landeskog Thursday.
Colorado might resign Landeskog. Big things are going to happen. You're going to see guys moving up and down the board, teams moving, because some teams value this draft, like Buffalo does, I know, but some teams think this draft is bad. Like, don't touch this draft.
Yeah,
let's focus on next year. We need to have another full year of understanding and watching these guys. So you might see some teams willing to give up first round picks this year because they don't value it for guys that they know and value and have scouting reports on. So this might be a crazy from Wednesday night after this. I don't know what time the draft freeze ends, the trade freeze ends.
I believe it's Thursday.
It's Thursday, so it's probably like Thursday, like 12 a.m., like Thursday morning. So when Wednesday turns to Thursday.
Midday Thursday or something.
And then we are going to see some movement. I believe, I was talking about this, I believe that there are trades in place.
Oh, for sure.
Everything's been traded. I believe that there's things that are like everyone has their offers and they're just waiting to pick which one they're going with. And some teams may already have trades in place. And
I feel like trades are in place, signings are in place. They just need
the Kraken to pick their team and then just go, okay, here's the trade. Here's the big trade.
Yep. Yeah. And hopefully that player doesn't get taken that you're just trying to sign or trade.
Yeah. Maybe I feel like if they do, I feel like they would contact the Kraken beforehand, explain, hey, we're doing a trade here. This is mutual for both of us. This has nothing to do with you. We're going to do it after. Then maybe there'll be like a 3-team trade.
Might ask for a sweetener though too.
Pardon?
Kraken might ask for a sweetener.
Exactly. Maybe it's like, hey, we'll give you an extra draft pick if you like get out of the way and pick this guy for us, and they'll pick this team for this guy. So you might see a lot of things go down. But all right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And we'll see you next time.